Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about breast conservation surgery. Okay, in the breast conservation surgery, this is performed mainly for the early invasive breast carcinoma, that is especially stage 1, stage 2A and stage 2B. Here the treatments which are available are you can either excise the lump by doing lumpectomy, you can do wide local excision with 1 centimeter of margin, or you can also do whole quadrant excision can also be done, which is called as quadrantectomy can also be done. Now these are the options which are available in breast conservative surgery. So if you see the contraindications of breast conservative surgery, first we have absolute contraindications. In absolute contraindications, these can be due to pregnancy, or if there are positive margins are present persistently after surgery, or if there is 2 or more tumors which are present in different quadrants, if there are 2 or more tumors present in different quadrants, or if there is diffuse malignancy is present. In such cases you cannot do this breast conservative surgery. If there is any history of therapeutic radiation exposure, then we cannot do this breast conservative surgery. Okay, then these are the absolute contraindications. Then we also have relative contraindications. In relative contraindications, these can be due to the history of any collagen vascular diseases, like if you see, like these can be like lupus, active lupus erythematosus, or these can be scleroderma. Then you cannot do this breast conservative surgery. These are relative contraindications. If there are multiple tumors present in one quadrant, even then we should not, it's like we would not prevent doing breast conservative surgery. If there is large tumor in single breast, or if there is large tumor in small breast, or if there is large pedunculous breast, because large pendulous breast, because if the breast is very large, then it is difficult to give radiotherapy, so we would not prefer doing this this breast conservative surgery. Or if there is any centrally located tumor, even then we would not prefer doing breast conservative surgery. So if there is a contraindication of breast conservative surgery, in those cases we will do simple mastectomy is preferred. Right now, after doing mastectomy, the most important thing is breast reconstruction can be done. This breast reconstruction can be done by 3 methods. We have 3 methods. One, we call it as autologous methods, where we reconstruct the breast with our own tissues, or we have alloplastic methods, where we use silicone implants for reconstruction of the breast, and we also have combined methods, where we use both these autologous plus alloplastic methods are used to reconstruct the breast. So first we will see the autologous methods to reconstruction of breast. In autologous methods, first we have transverse rectus abdominis muscle flap. We have we have latissimus dorsi muscle flap is present, and then we have thoraco epigastric flap, lateral thigh flap can be used, or we can use gluteal flap, or we can also use Rubens flap are present. This Rubens flap is based on the circumflex iliac artery. Rubens flap is based on deep circumflex iliac artery. So these are the autologous methods. Then we also have alloplastic methods. Alloplastic methods includes, we have silicone gel implants. In alloplastic methods, we have silicone gel implants are present, and we also have silicone implants with saline refill are present. Actually, these alloplastic implants are most commonly used for breast augmentation and breast reconstruction. Then we also have combined methods. These combined methods are used for those women with larger breasts. In this we use both the flap and we also use the silicone implant. This is used for mainly to restore the asymmetry, to restore the symmetry, and to counteract the asymmetry we can use the transverse rectus abdominis flap with implant. You can combine it, or you can do latissimus dorsi flap with implant can be used. Now if you were asked what is the most commonly used flap for breast construction, breast reconstruction, that is tram flap, that is transverse rectus abdominis flap. But if you were asked what is the best flap for breast reconstruction, that is deep inferior epigastric artery flap is actually the best flap for muscle reconstruction. Okay, now some important points about these flaps. First, transverse rectus abdominis muscle flap. So this is based on the internal mammary artery and vein. This internal mammary artery and vein are anastomosed with inferior epigastric artery and vein respectively. This is a free flap. Next we have one more which is important, that is one important thing here is because in this transverse rectus abdominis muscle flap, the rectus abdominis muscle is excised, and as a result, because there is no muscle in the, when you see, so if this is the abdomen, this is the transverse rectus abdominis muscle. Now you have taken a flap from here. Okay, you have taken a flap from here, and you are you have taken a flap from here, and you are putting it in the breast. Okay, so this area now does not have any support, so as a result there is increased chances of hernia development in this area. And one more thing, in this transverse rectus abdominis flap, this flap contains inferior epigastric artery, and this is anastomosed with internal mammary artery of our breast. Okay, next, the next flap which is important here is we have deep inferior epigastric artery perforator flap. What is this? This is deep inferior epigastric artery perforator, P for perforator flap. Here if you see, we will take the here this deep inferior artery perforator with skin and fat is taken as this flap, and we will use it for reconstruction of breast. Here because no muscle is taken, so there is no weakness or there is no development of hernia. Okay, so this is one important thing. Then the next flap which is important is latissimus dorsi flap. In this latissimus dorsi flap, latissimus dorsi muscle is excised and a subcutaneous tract is created, and this subcutaneous flap is useful for the reconstruction of breast. Next important things is we will learn some points about silicone implants. These silicone implants are most commonly used for breast reconstruction and also breast augmentation. So if you see, this is the muscle pectoralis major, okay, and this is the breast tissue, okay, right. And now if we put the implant, if we take the implant and if we put the implant below the pectoralis or behind the muscle, okay, behind the pectoralis major muscle, then this implant is called as, is used for breast reconstruction. For breast reconstruction we will put the implant behind the muscle. Then for breast augmentation we will put the implant in front of the muscle. Okay, so this is one important thing which you should remember. Next we have to learn some important points about follow up. In the follow up we will take history and you will also do examination. So first in the follow up, for you will have to ask the person for physical examination and history every 3 to 6 months in first 3 years. First 3 years you will have to ask the person to come back every 3 to 6 months first 3 years, and after that you will have to ask the person to come back every 6 to 12 months in fourth and fifth year, and afterwards you will have to ask the person to follow up annually. Okay, so first 3 years you will ask the person to follow up every 3 to 6 months, and in fourth and fifth year you will ask the person to follow up every 6 to 12 months and thereafter annually. Then if you see the mammography, this mammography should be done either annually. Okay, you should do mammography annually beginning, and this mammography should be done every annually, and then you will have to ask the person to do breast self examination every monthly, and you will also have to ask the person to undergo pelvic examination and every yearly, that is annually. Okay, then if you were asked about the prognostic factors, these are important. The most important prognostic factors in most of the malignancies is stage. That too, TNM staging is the most important prognostic index in most of the cancers. In most of the cancers it is TNM staging. There are some exceptions for it. If it's Wilms tumor, in Wilms tumor histology is more important than staging, and if you see the soft tissue sarcoma, in soft tissue sarcoma tumor grade is more important. So but in breast cancer, if you see, the most important prognostic index in breast cancer is TNM staging only. Then if you see what is the single most important prognostic factor in the breast cancer, that is axillary lymph node status is the single most prognostic factor in breast cancer. Okay, then if you were asked what is the most important prognostic factor especially in the metastatic breast cancer, in metastatic breast cancer the most common prognostic index is ER/PR status, right? Next, finally the most important thing comes now, the different indices. We have an index called as Nottingham prognostic index. According to the Nottingham prognostic index, the formula is here, Nottingham prognostic index is equal to 0.2 into tumor size plus lymph node stage plus tumor grade. 0.2 into tumor size, this is tumor size, in plus lymph node grade stage plus tumor grade. So this is called as Nottingham prognostic index. Then we have one more prognostic index, which is Bloom-Richardson grading. In Bloom-Richardson grading, if you see, we have, this is given by the mnemonic TNM. T for tubule formation, MN for nuclear polymorphism, and M for mitosis. So in Bloom-Richardson grading we have tubule formation, nuclear polymorphism and mitosis, and we have one more prognostic index, which is Von Neuss prognostic index. This Von Neuss prognostic index is mainly for ductal carcinoma in situ. In this is given by the mnemonic M-SWAG. Okay, M for microcalcification. In this, the main important things are microcalcification, and it depends upon the size of the tumor and width of the margins, age of the patient, and also grade of the tumor. So all these are seen in Von Neuss prognostic index. Von Neuss prognostic index is mainly for ductal carcinoma in situ, and here we are going to deal with microcalcification, size of the tumor, width of the, this is not width of the tumor, age and grade. Thank you for watching.